As a coach, producing winning athletes takes not only coaching skills on your side, but it takes athlete buy-in to the process of your check-in system and executing that at an extremely high level. Today, we're going to talk about what can the client do to help you do your job better for them. At J3U Coaching, we've built a platform and a system in order to improve client communication with the coaches and to improve metric tracking to make the job as easy as possible so that we produce winning athletes more consistently on stage. At the time of recording this video, we're on a 3-weekend stretch of 3 overalls in a row. So the proof is in the pudding with the system that's being applied. We just need to make sure that the athletes buy in on their part so that we can make sure our coaching skills are seen on stage. The first part we're going to look at is how often do they check in and how consistently do athletes that do this well check in. During a contest prep setting, it's not uncommon to switch check-ins immediately to twice a week to improve the communication process between coach and athlete and to catch things that prop up as problems before they become a problem that derails your prep. So you'll see with Kenneth here on the J3U Coaching platform, he's checking in twice per week, Tuesday and Friday. And the other thing you'll notice is his check-ins are consistently across the week on the same days at almost exactly the same time with every check-in submission that he's done. This means that he has a system and a schedule that he's following and getting feedback directly to me, and he's putting his all into making sure that I get the feedback when I need it in order to provide him with the check-in information he needs to continue his prep. This is probably the core of the check-in process for the client. Consistency with the check-in days and consistency with the times that the check-ins come through in order to allow the coach to respond in a way that's effective and promotes athlete development and their love with the process. The more buy-in the client has, the more buy-in often the coach has, and the more that dynamic becomes synergistic across a longer time frame. So the biggest skill that an athlete can have is consistency with getting it in on the day they're supposed to check in and doing it on time. Now, the ability to communicate is one that is interesting. We have some people who communicate through written form, which you can see is built into the check-in forms within the check-in system of the app. Now, what we often do, and what I do with Kenneth, is he actually communicates through verbal well. So he drops me a 2-minute Loom video, 2.5-minute Loom video in the messenger as a part of his check-ins every week. It's clockwork, it's right at the same time that he submits his check-in, and it's in the same format every single time. A screen recording on his phone where he's talking and he tells me how things are going and he goes through the metrics, and he'll even go through some things he's working on posing so that we can improve presentation within that. This brings me to the metric tracking. Now, part of that Loom video is going over the metrics that are in the app that help me with making decisions. As you can see in Kenneth's daily habits log, it's filled out every single day with every single metric filled out across. There's metrics in here that you're common with. These would be like your body weight metrics and your health metrics and your sleep quality and amount metrics. But there's also some from a consistency to plan adherence that are in there and subjective ones that are letting me know how he's doing on the day-to-day. He's been working overtime over the last few weeks, so making sure that this is put into the actual daily habit sheet accurately on the day-to-day allows me to see if he's having big dips during the week where fatigue is building up, and we can start to combat that before it becomes a problem. So this is where, as a coach, you should be looking at trend lines over time. Are we seeing what the baseline average energy level of the client is across the week, and then seeing that get worse or better as they go into a contest prep, and then doing that for every single metric that you're tracking across the contest prep? If you can see, it's a pretty extensive list of metrics that are in here, but with the user friendliness of the platform that we're using, it allows us to make that check-in process in the morning to put in your daily habit metrics super simple. For Kenneth, it takes him like 4 to 5 minutes in order to fill out the whole sheet, and then he clearly communicates the expectations of what this means in the Loom video so that we have the metrics tracked and we have the communication clear from client to coach. The interesting part as a coach, if you're working within the metrics of seeing trend lines over time, you can go back in his daily habits week after week and see that he does this consistently every week. And I can see those trend lines for rate of loss relative to timeline that's been built to make sure that we land it on stage in time to do a peak loading test and then nail the look on stage for his shot at winning a spot at the Olympia, with his first show being Pittsburgh and the next show being New York. What this will allow me to do is not only have data coming into this first peak, but then stream that data into the second peak, all because he's been doing this every single day for the entirety of prep. And I can see every single decision that I've made within these metrics because he's done that good of a job of tracking it within the platform that's been provided. So whether you use a platform like this or whether you use spreadsheets with your athletes, I use both depending on the athlete setup, you can create a communication dynamic that allows you to work synergistically together and ultimately develop athletes to a higher glass ceiling and produce more winning athletes more consistently like we do at J3U Coaching.